Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor from Department of ECE, MLR Institute of Technology. I am going to give the video lectures for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's topic for video session was the non-preemptive scheduling 1. So this is comes under Unit 4 Task Scheduling. And here the overview of today's session was summary of previous session. In previous session, we have discussed what is meant by task scheduling and what are different types of scheduling algorithms. So what are different types of queues are available for scheduling algorithms, and how can we move one process from one queue to another queue, transition of processes from one queue to another queue. So these are all discussed in the previous session. And in today's session, we are going to discuss about FIFO scheduling, example of FIFO scheduling, LIFO scheduling, and example of LIFO scheduling. FIFO means first in, first out. LIFO means last in, first out. So going to the first topic, which is non-preemptive scheduling. So we have already discussed about non-preemptive scheduling in the last session. So that is non-preemptive scheduling is nothing but once the CPU is assigned to any process, after completion of execution of that process only the CPU will be released. Until the execution of P1, the CPU will be held by that current process only. It will not release CPU until the execution of that process. So here there are two types of scheduling algorithms are there in non-preemptive scheduling. First one is FIFO, second one is LIFO. FIFO means first in, first out. LIFO means last in, first out. So it is also called as first come, first served. So here it allocates the CPU time. So that means here this is the FIFO algorithm, is the algorithm used for assigning time to each process in the operating system. Here this first come, first served scheduling, so it will assign the CPU, it allocates CPU time to the processes based on the order in which they enters the ready queue. So here we have already discussed that first we have the job queue, and whenever the CPU will be assigned to each process, then that process will be moved to the ready queue, and if any IO devices are required by that process, so they are going to the device queue, and after allocation of that IO devices, they are moving to the ready queue. And after ready queue, here whatever the process entered into the ready queue first, so that is if there are P1, P2, P3 are there. So if P1 process enters first into the ready queue, so then it will be scheduled first for execution. And if P2 is entered after P1 into the ready queue, so then P2 executed next the P1 process. So in which order they are entered into the ready queue, in the same order they are executed by using the scheduler. So here the CPU time, so it allocates the CPU time to the process based on the order in which they enters the ready queue. So in which they enters the ready queue, the CPU is allotted to that processes only. So the first entered process is served first. So the next example is ticketing system. Whoever first entered into the ticket counter, so they will get the ticket first. So here the drawbacks of this method are, here it favors the monopoly of processes. So here the process which does not contain any IO operation continues its execution until it finishes its task. So here what happened means, whatever the process which are not using the device queue, so that means those are not having any IO operation, so they are directly comes to the ready queue and they are go for execution. So and we need to wait for another process, so that means here the CPU is allotted for this process. Therefore another processes will be in the waiting state until the completion of P1. It favors the monopoly of process. So it favors CPU bound processes and IO bound processes into the wait state until the completion of CPU bound process. if currently executing process is a CPU bound process. So that means here we need to wait for each process for allocation of either CPU or IO. So if there is any need for IO operation, we need to wait for IO resources allocation. If there is no need for IO resource allocation, then we can continue with the CPU allocation. So whenever CPU allotted to that process, it will directly goes to the execution. So here whatever the processes we have both CPU bound and IO bound, so they are having the higher priority for CPU bound processes only. So this leads to poor device utilization. So the average waiting time is not minimum for first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Here the average minimum waiting time will be more because we need to wait for completion of the first process, then only we need to wait for second process. So therefore average waiting time is more. So example for this is, here let us take an example. There are three processes which are P1, P2, P3, and here these are the completion times. That means for P1 the execution time is 10 milliseconds and P2 the execution time is 5 milliseconds and P3 7 milliseconds. So whenever they are entered into the ready queue, they are going for the execution. So here the execution time taken by P1 is 10 milliseconds and P2 is 5 milliseconds and P3 is 7 milliseconds. And here calculate the waiting time and turnaround time for each process and average waiting time and turnaround time for each process. Here the sequence of execution is nothing but first P1 is entered and next P2 is entered and next P3 is entered. So assuming that the CPU is readily available at the time of arrival of P1. So therefore P1 starts executing without any waiting in the ready queue. So at the time of arrival of P1, the CPU is ready for allocation. So therefore there is no waiting time for P1. Okay. So there is no waiting time for P1. So whatever the process which is available in the ready queue is directly enters into the execution state. So P1 is in the ready queue. Hence the waiting time for P1 is, so waiting time P1 is 0 millisecond. So what about P2? So P2 has to be wait for up to the completion of P1 process. Here this is the non-preemptive algorithm. So P2 should wait until the completion of P1. So it started at 0 millisecond since its waiting time is 0 milliseconds. So and it takes 10 milliseconds to complete. So that means its execution time is 10 milliseconds. Therefore 0 plus 10. So after 10 milliseconds, the P2 will enters into the ready queue. So the waiting time for P2 is 10 milliseconds. And next here for P2 the execution time is 5 milliseconds. So that is, here it started at 10 and it takes 5 milliseconds for execution. So the completion time is 15 milliseconds. So therefore here whenever after completion of P2 process execution only P3 enters into the ready queue. So that means here P2 enters at 15 milliseconds time. So that means the waiting time for P3 means here it should wait until the completion of P1 and P2. Therefore, it should wait up to 15 milliseconds. After that, it enters into the ready queue. So now its execution time is 7 milliseconds. So it completed at 22 milliseconds. So these are the waiting time for these three processes. Here they are asked that calculate the waiting time and turnaround time. Here the waiting time is nothing but for P1 it is 0 milliseconds. For P2 it is 10 milliseconds. For P3 it is 15 milliseconds. These are the waiting time. And next turnaround time. So turnaround time means here how much time it will take for completion of process. So we will see here. So here this is the waiting time. So therefore the average waiting time is nothing but average of these three processes, which is 8.33 milliseconds. So now turnaround time. Turnaround time is calculated by time spent in the ready queue plus execution time. So here turnaround time. So here for P1, so time taken for entering into the ready queue. Here it enters the ready queue at 0 milliseconds. So 0 plus, So how much time it takes for execution? 10. So it is 10 milliseconds. For P2, the turnaround time is, so it enters into the ready queue at 10 milliseconds. So 10 plus, so it takes 5 milliseconds for execution. So 15 milliseconds is the turnaround time for process 2. And for P3, it enters into the ready queue at 15 milliseconds and it executes in 7 milliseconds. So 22 milliseconds is the turnaround time for process 3. So 10, 15, 22. Here is, it is the time spent in ready queue plus execution time. So average turnaround time. So the average of all three processes. So which is 15.66 milliseconds. Here average turnaround time is, so next average execution time. So here execution time is nothing but they have already specified in the problem. So that is the execution time for P1 is 10 milliseconds and P2 is 5 milliseconds and P3 is 7 milliseconds. So these are the 10 plus 5 plus 7 by 3. So this 7.33 milliseconds is the average execution time. So therefore here average turnaround time. So average turnaround time can be calculated by the formula which is the time spent in the ready queue plus execution time. This is one method. And another method is average waiting time plus average execution time. Right? The second one is average waiting time plus average execution time. So if both are same means here in non-preemptive scheduling algorithm we will get the both are same because we need to wait for until the completion of each process. We need to enter the second process. Therefore, we will get the same time period for both the cases. So this is the first in first out scheduling algorithm. Next, second one is LIFO scheduling. LIFO scheduling is nothing but last in first out. Here it allocates CPU time to processes based on the order in which they entered in the ready queue. So here last entered process is served first. So here this is the ready queue. In FIFO method, so we have set that, so whatever the process first entered P1, so next entered is P2, next entered is P3. So here the first in first out, whatever the process first entered will be served first. But in LIFO method, so here the first P1 process entered, P2 process entered, next P3 entered. So whatever the process entered last is served first. So first the P3 will be served to the ready queue. So here this algorithm is also known as last in first out algorithm where the process which is put in the ready queue last will be served first. So here the drawbacks of this scheduling algorithm is it favors the monopoly of process, it favors the CPU bound processes, and average waiting time is very high for this scheduling algorithm also. Example for this scheduling is here. So take the same example which is P1, P2, P3. So with estimated completion time 10 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds and 7 milliseconds. So here in order, that is first P1 entered, next P2 entered and next P3 entered into the ready queue. And when the scheduler picks it and P2 and P3 entered ready queue after that. So now a new process P4 with estimated completion time of 6 milliseconds enters into the ready queue after 5 milliseconds of P1. Here generally first P1 and next P2 and next P3 are scheduled for entering into the ready queue. But in meanwhile, in a process which is P1, so it is entered after 5 milliseconds of P1. So that means here now this is the ready queue. So first P1 entered. So after completion of 5 milliseconds, P4 entered. So after completion of 10 milliseconds, next now a process P1 with estimated completion time of 6 milliseconds entered into the ready queue. So therefore calculate the after 5 milliseconds of, so initially therefore only P1 is available in the ready queue and the scheduling sequence will be P3, P1, P3, P2, P4. Here So P3 entered, and next P4 is there. P2, P3 entered into the ready queue, right? Next P4 process entered. So here after completion of 5 milliseconds, so now P1 process started its execution. So because at the initial state, it is the available process and it is in the ready queue. So after completion of 5 milliseconds for P1, so P4 entered last into the ready queue. So therefore now P4 goes for ready queue. So after completion of P4, what is the last entered process into the ready queue? P3. So therefore after P4, P3 will goes for execution. After completion of P3, P2 will goes for execution. Here the scheduling sequence will be P1, P3, P2 and P4. So P1 enters the queue during the execution of P1 and becomes the last process entered into the ready queue. So therefore the order will be changed as P1, P4, P3 and P2. Yes, initially the order will be P1, and so when P1 is goes for execution, what is the last process entered? P3. So therefore P3, P2 and now P4 entered. So this is the initial sequence of execution. But whenever P4 entered into the process, the scheduler changes its order in the ready queue by using the LIFO scheduling. P1, P4, P3, P2 is the present order of execution. So here, so based on this here, yes, what is the waiting time for? So we can calculate the waiting time for each one. So waiting time for each process, that is P1, it is 0. So it is immediately entered into the ready queue. So what is the waiting time for P2 here? Sorry, P4. The second process is P4. So what is the waiting time for P4? Here we have seen that P4 entered after 5 milliseconds of P1. So therefore the waiting time for P4 is 5 milliseconds and P3 is P4 is 5 milliseconds and P3 is, here it entered after the completion of P1 and P4 only, we will get the P3. So P1 execution time is 10 milliseconds. So here after completion of 5 milliseconds, so here it is P4 entered. So what is the execution time of P4? 6 milliseconds. And after 10 milliseconds, P1 completed. So that is here 10, and after P4 completion only, P3 will be entered into the ready queue. Therefore, here it is 6 milliseconds total. After 16 milliseconds only, P3 will be entered into the ready queue. So the waiting time for P2 is 23. So these are the waiting times for these processes. Next, what is the turnaround time for process P1? So turnaround time is nothing but the time entered into the ready queue plus the execution time. Here the time entered into the ready queue is 0 plus execution time is 10 milliseconds. So for P1 it is 10 milliseconds. For P4 the time entered into the ready queue is after 5 milliseconds. So 5 plus its execution time is 6 milliseconds. So the total turnaround time for P4 is 11 milliseconds. And for P3, here it enters into the ready queue at 16 milliseconds. So 16 plus its execution time is 7 milliseconds. Therefore 23 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P3. And next P2. For P2, it enters into the ready queue at 23 milliseconds and its execution time is 5 milliseconds. Therefore, the turnaround time for P2 is 28 milliseconds. So here it is 10 milliseconds, 11 milliseconds, 23 milliseconds and 28 milliseconds. And next average turnaround time is nothing but the average of these 4 time periods of the 4 processes. Here average waiting time is, so the average of these 4 waiting times. So this is the calculation of average waiting time and average turnaround time for LIFO algorithm. So here in this session, we have discussed what are the summary of previous session, that is task scheduling and various scheduling algorithms. So in those scheduling algorithms, we have non-preemptive and preemptive. In non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, once the process allotted for CPU, it will be released after completion of that current process only. So after completion of process only, the CPU will be released to another process. So it will not be released in the meanwhile, middle while. So therefore, here there are different types of algorithms are there in non-preemptive scheduling. So like FIFO, first in first out, last in first out, priority based. So these are the different types of scheduling algorithms in non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. In present session, we have discussed what is FIFO scheduling, what is LIFO scheduling. So in FIFO scheduling and shortest job first, SJF. In present session, we have discussed about the FIFO scheduling and LIFO scheduling. FIFO scheduling is nothing but first in first out scheduling. So in the ready queue, whatever the process entered first, it will be served first. So whatever the process entered first into the ready queue are to be executed first. So while going to the LIFO scheduling, so whatever the process entered last, so will be executed first. So the last entered process will be executed first in the LIFO scheduling. And we have seen two examples for calculating the average waiting time and turnaround time and execution time. So these are the concepts which are discussed in the present session. Thank you.